Hello dolls and welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about the year 1972 on my journey from 1960 to 1979. I am so truly excited to bring you 1972. It was the longest year in world history, and so many exciting things happened that I truly cannot wait to share with you. As always, I am mainly focusing on the US and the UK in these videos, while also dabbling in world history. And I also wanted to preface this by saying there is no way for me to cover everything that happened in every single year, so if there's something you felt like would be really important to be added to this video, or something you would just like me to make a separate video about, make sure to tell me in the comments. But now, without any further talking, let me take you back to the year 1972, the longest year in history. 1972 was a year that stretched the limits of time and creativity, quite literally. Coordinated Universal Time marked it as the longest year in history, thanks to the addition of 2 leap seconds, one on June 30th and another one on December 31st. Combined with its leap year status, 1972 clocked in as an unprecedented 366 days and 2 extra seconds, a record that has yet to be repeated. This was also a year of milestones and endings. The 15,734th Volkswagen Beetle rolled off the assembly line, breaking the Ford Model T's long-standing world car production record and solidifying the Beetle's iconic status. At the same time, the cultural zeitgeist shifted as Life magazine, a defining force in photojournalism, released its final issue. Yet, for all its quirks and milestones, 1972 was perhaps best remembered for the vibrancy of its cultural landscape. Platform shoes were the height of fashion, both literally and figuratively, while shag carpeting covered floors in every hue imaginable. Star Wars hadn't yet hit the silver screen, but the space opera genre was already captivating imaginations, foreshadowing a coming cultural wave. Swedish meatballs and Black Forest cake were culinary stars at dinner parties, and parents everywhere named their newborns Michael and Jennifer, the top baby names of the year. In 1972, music was a kaleidoscope of genres, with David Bowie's The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and The Spiders from Mars introducing glam rock to the mainstream, while Stevie Wonder redefined soul with Talking Book. The Rolling Stones cemented their legendary status with Exile on Main Street, and Don McLean's American Pie became an enduring anthem of the era. In the realms of fashion, music, and art, 1972 thrived. It was an era of glitter, experimentation, and breaking norms. Style reached bold new heights, with eclectic patterns and sky-high platforms, while music transformed through genre-defying albums and groundbreaking performances. Art movements from pop art to conceptual works continued to push boundaries and challenge perceptions. 1972 became a cultural time capsule, blending timeless innovations with the unique quirks of its extended year. In 1972, the shadow of the Vietnam War loomed large, even as peace talks in Paris inched forward and the last US ground troops were withdrawn, marking a slow end to one of America's most polarizing conflicts. At home, escalating protests reflected a growing sense of disillusionment, while Richard Nixon's re-election campaign saw him posing as a leader of stability. Nixon's sweeping victory over the Democratic Senator George McGovern, carrying 49 of 50 states, was a historic political triumph, though it occurred alongside of his eventual downfall. In June, 5 White House operatives were arrested for burglarizing the Democratic National Committee's office, igniting the Watergate scandal that would later consume his presidency. Internationally, the year was defined by shifting geopolitical tides. Nixon's groundbreaking visit to China opened a new chapter in the US-China relations, and the Cold War saw a momentary thaw with the signing of the SALT I agreement between the US and the Soviet Union. On other fronts, 1972 marked the last manned mission to the moon, the United States ban on the pesticide DDT, and the California Supreme Court abolishing the death penalty, continuing all death sentences to life in prison. Meanwhile, the United Nations Conference on the Human Environment convened in Stockholm, marking the first global effort to address environmental issues. Social movements from women's liberation to indigenous rights continued to gain momentum, demanding systematic change and signaling a world in transition. In all of these videos, I'm drawing out the price development in the 60s and 70s by comparing the same 3 things in every single video. The price of a loaf of bread, a movie ticket, and a house, as well as telling you about the annual average income to put everything into perspective. In 1972, the annual household income was $11,800. A new house would set you back $27,550, a loaf of bread was just 30 cents, and a movie ticket was around $1.70. By 1972, 1972, the vibrant energy of the mod 60s had given way to the style that truly defined the 70s. It was an eclectic blend of hippie counterculture ideals, which had become mainstream thanks to the baby boomer generation and the growing influence of women's liberation. This cultural shift saw pants become a major trend for women, signaling newfound freedom and versatility in women's fashion. The introduction of pants for women did not mean the end of other iconic styles, like the miniskirts that were still very much alive and well, often paired with bold patterns and platform shoes. Polyester became a staple, offering sleek lines and vibrant colors in flared trousers, jumpsuits, and dresses. Crochet and knits added texture, while corduroy offered a soft, durable option for pants and jackets. Homemade clothes gained traction as individuality became a fashion statement. I am wearing a mini dress, red polyester. I'm also wearing a pair of platform shoes and some colored tights, which I feel like was a truly popular style in the early 70s. The braless look was another hallmark of the year. Women embraced tops and dresses that celebrated their natural forms, a nod to the feminist movement. Bodysuits designed to create a smooth silhouette under tight pants or miniskirts also gained popularity, although they were now often worn without a bra. Runways from Paris to New York showcased dramatic silhouette, with designers like Pierre Cardin embracing futuristic cuts. A model in a Pierre Cardin jacket and matching ankle boots epitomized this era of bold shapes, completed with white leather boots, gloves, and a statement headpiece. Lauren Hutton stunned in a turtleneck mini dress, patent over-the-knee boots, and a structural head, showcasing the sophistication and edge that characterized high-end fashion. Meanwhile, on the streets, models sported cutout maxi dresses and block-heeled sandals, blending glamour with accessibility. Celebrity fashion icons cemented 1972's trends in the public eye. Jane Birkin's effortless chic look, a wrap crop top paired with some shorts and a peekaboo skirt, became emblematic of casual sophistication, while Bianca Jagger turned heads at Heathrow Airport in a crisp white three-piece suit with a black blouse and bowler hat, proving that airport style could be as polished as the runway. Grace Jones revitalized leather trousers, while actress Nadia Cassini's ensemble of a crochet top, fur vest, and miniskirt alongside over-the-knee boots showcased the era's love of texture and layering. Twiggy lounging on a velvet couch in a multicolored outfit reminded the world that fashion could be playful and bold in this picture by Biba that I absolutely adore. Men's style in 1972 embraced flair and individuality. V-neck velour shirts, turtlenecks, and flared trousers dominated. Afros and mullets were popular hairstyles, often paired with sideburns and chest hair for a rugged yet polished look. Plaid and checkered pants added a whimsical touch, making a statement without sacrificing comfort. Teen fashion in 1972 retained some 60s influences, but also embraced the decade's new trends. Funky platform sandals and wide leg pants were staples. Texas queens flaunted their style in white go-go boots, while pink and blue Angora pantsuits represented some of the more devised trends of the year. The fashions of 1972 were not just clothing choices, they were cultural statements. The blending of counterculture ideals with mainstream sensibilities created a distinctive look that encapsulated the ethos of the 70s. From high-end runway to casual streetwear, the year's style celebrated individuality, freedom, and bold expression. Whether through platform shoes, white pants, or crochet tops, 1972 solidified its place as a milestone year in the history of fashion. 1972 was a transformative year for music, blending the raw spirit of rock, the soulful rhythms of R&B, and the experimental tones of emerging genres. Rock music was at its peak, with bands like the Rolling Stones and David Bowie, who introduced the world to his Ziggy Stardust persona, with the rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. Progressive rock also gained traction, with albums like Yes's Close to the Edge and Jethro Tull's Thick as a Brick, pushing the boundaries of rock storytelling. R&B and soul continued to thrive, with Al Green reaching superstardom through hits like Let's Stay Together. Meanwhile, Stevie Wonder blended funk and pop with Music on My Mind and Talking Book, the latter featuring timeless hits like Superstition. Funk also became more prominent in 1972, with Sly and the Family Stone's There's a Riot Going On, influencing an entire generation of musicians. 1972 also laid the groundwork for punk and glam rock. While punk's true explosion was still a few years away, the attitudes were seeded by proto-punk bands like the New York Dolls and glam pioneers like T-Rex, who released The Slider, cementing their role in the glam movement. The singer-songwriter era flourished as introspective and confessional lyrics became increasingly popular. Carole King followed up her massive 1971 success with Tapestry by releasing Rhymes and Reasons, featuring hits like Bean to Canaan. Neil Young, Paul Simon, and James Taylor also dominated the charts with heartfelt storytelling. Pop music was equally influential, with Elton John's Honky Chateau featuring the classic Rocket Man, marking his ascent into superstardom. At the same time, disco's early stirrings could be heard in the music of Donna Summer and the O'Jays, hinting at the genre's upcoming dominance. The key chart-topping songs of 1972 were American Pie by Don McLean, Lean on Me by Bill Withers, Me and Mr. Jones by Billy Paul, Papa Was a Rolling Stone by The Temptations, and Heart of Gold by Neil Young. 1972 was also a year of significant change in the music world, with several popular bands calling it quits. The Creedence Clearwater Revival split up in 1972, a stunning blow to their fans. Led by John Fogerty, the band had achieved massive commercial success with hits like Bad Moon Rising and Fortunate Son, but personal tensions and disagreements about the band's direction led to their breakup. Fogerty's desire for greater creative control and the division between him and the other members played a key role in the band's dissolution. Jefferson Airplane also called it quits in 1972, although their split was definitely more about their internal struggles than a desire to end the band entirely. The band had been at the forefront of the psychedelic rock scene, but as members began pursuing solo projects, especially Grace Slick and Paul Kantner, the chemistry that had once made them so successful began to fade. The Airplane would later reassemble in a new form as Jefferson Starship, continuing to evolve with the times. The soul group Martha and the Vandellas faced a similar fate. After a string of Motown hits in the 1960s, the group struggled with the changing musical landscape in the early 70s. Although they had iconic songs like Dancing in the Street, personal and professional challenges, including the departure of key members, led to the group's disbandment in 1972. MC5, known for their raucous brand of rock and their involvement in the counterculture movement, had seen its share of controversy, especially due to their radical political stance. After the release of their influential Back in the USA album, the band faced internal tensions, drug issues, and difficulties with their label, all contributing to their breakup in 1972. Them, a Northern Irish band fronted by Van Morrison, had already undergone several changes before dissolving in 1972. Morrison's desire to move in a more solo direction, paired with personal differences with bandmates, led to the band's disbandment. Morrison would go on to have a highly successful solo career, leaving behind the group's distinctive blend of rhythm and blues. Finally, the Velvet Underground was already a cult favorite in 1972, but the band began to fracture. The departure of founding members Lou Reed and John Cale, as well as Nico years prior, left the group in a more experimental phase, and by 1972, internal conflicts and the decline in commercial success led to their breakup. While their influence would continue to grow in the years to come, their original run ended quietly that year. Each and every single one of these bands left such a big mark on music, and their breakups really marked the end of an era, but also paved the way for new sounds and movement in the years that followed. 1972 also was a pivotal year in film, with many iconic releases that left a lasting impact on cinema. It marked a time when filmmakers pushed boundaries, experimented with storytelling, and tackled complex themes, ushering a new era in filmmaking. The Godfather, directed by Francis Ford Coppola, was arguably the most influential film of the year. A massive commercial and critical success, it redefined the gangster genre and became a cultural touchstone. Marlon Brando's portrayal of Don Vito Corleone and Al Pacino's breakout role as Michael Corleone set a new standard for performance, while the film's exploration of family, power, and corruption would inspire countless others. Although a completely different style of film, Bob Fosse's 1972 film Cabaret was another landmark film. This musical, set against the backdrop of pre-World War II Berlin, blended dazzling musical numbers with a dark political undertone. Liza Minnelli's iconic performance as singer and seductress Sally Bowles earned her an Academy Award, and the film became an exploration of decadence, freedom, and the rise of Nazi power. Overall, 1972 was a year of varied, bold films that set new standards for storytelling, genre blending, and social commentary, influencing cinema for decades to come. So, what does 1972 really add up to? 1972 was a year of transformation and innovation across fashion, film, and music, where boundaries were pushed and new cultural movements took root. Fashion saw a shift toward bold individualism and a celebration of counterculture styles, with the rise of bohemian and glam aesthetics. Music was defined by the birth of new genres and the continued evolution of rock, soul, and funk, while the film world saw groundbreaking works like The Godfather and Cabaret, which not only shaped cinematic history but also reflected the changing societal moods of the time. Together, these artistic realms reflected a cultural zeitgeist of rebellion, self-expression, and a deeper engagement with both personal and societal complexities. As the world moved further into the 70s, 1972 would remain a touchstone for the decades of creativity and change that followed, leaving an indelible mark on the visual and auditory landscape. Come back tomorrow for 1973, the year that brought even more disco, hippie styles, and the dark side of the moon. So that is it for today's video. That is it for 1972. Of course, I cannot end the video without having my tea. If you're new here, this is somewhat of a tradition on my channel. I have a tea advent calendar, and every day I drink a cup of tea with you. This one is lavender and verbena. It smells so good. I love everything lavender. Lavender scented perfumes and like mist. I also really love like shower gel that has that kind of scent. And also, if you can get your hands on a lavender syrup, do it. These are so hard to find, but I found a couple of them. It's just sometimes when we go to like a fancy supermarket, I happen to find one, and then put that into your coffee and tell me it's not the best thing. It's the same as, for a while I used to put elderflower syrup in my coffee, and that was great too, but try lavender syrup. It is so good. It kind of like is flowery, but then it's also a little musky. It's a really good taste. But I'm really happy with this cup of tea. My voice is a little scratchy and I feel a little sick, so I better change into a pullover or something, but this tea is really nice. I want to thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that to not miss out on the entire rest of the 1970s ahead. I've also already uploaded the years 1960 through 1971, so if you want to watch those, just click on the end card. It'll take you to the playlist where you can watch every single episode. If you enjoyed the video, I would love you to give it a thumbs up and maybe even share it with a friend. It supports me, it supports the channel, and it would truly mean the world. I hope you have a beautiful day. Go out, enjoy the sunshine, take yourself some time to focus on you and your mental health today, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye dolls!